In today's video, I'm giving a brief update on my SABAI top by Suzanne Mueller and trying it on for good measure. And then I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review of the yarn that I'm using for this project, which is Knitting for Olive Merino. So get cozy and let's dive in. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. For today's video, I'm just going to give you a little bit more of an update on my SABAI top by Suzanne Mueller. I talked a lot about this on the previous episode because I was diving into the idea of rowing out and what are some things that you can do to prevent that. What it is, why it's happening, how you can manage it because it is something that you want to manage, and how even you might be able to prevent it in the future if you kind of know ahead of time that it could potentially happen in your project. Definitely check out that previous video. It also will give you a little bit more of an insight into this project here. What I want to do today, though, as it relates to this, which is again my SABAI top by Suzanne Mueller, is I want to try it on for you so that you can see how it fits. I'm just going to put it right. I'm going to try it on over the shirt I have on. If I tried it on by itself, this would be a whole nother type of channel. But I'm going to try this on. We're going to see what it looks like. And then I want to tell you what I think so far about the yarn that I'm using here. This is Knitting for Olive Merino, and it is the fingering weight yarn. It's this is the label here. There, and it's kind of hard to see, but it's just their kind of flagship yarn, and it's fingering weight. 100% extra fine merino. It is Responsible Wool Standard certified, which is real. We talked about certifications a couple videos ago and looking for, textiles that have certifications. They have not only the Responsible Wool Standard certification, they have the OEKO Tex or OEKO Tex certification as well. And that's impressive. Costs a lot of money for companies to do that. So when you see those certifications, that's a really impressive thing. So that's something for this. We're going to dive more into this yarn as well. I actually kind of want to hold off on telling you how I feel about the yarn until we do a little bit of a fit check, if you will, for this here. The term fit check comes from like outfit check. It's like you're checking out your outfit. Okay. But when I say fit check, I'm referring to, let's see how it fits. I'm going to check that. It's a fit check. And also just to kind of see like, I don't know, just like what it looks like on. This top, when you see it on the model, I don't know if that's Suzanne Mueller, but when you see it on the model, I think it is. It looks small and kind of svelte. I'm knitting this in 100% merino. I'm using 100% merino yarn. I'm not using a plant-based fiber. In fact, that's a good point to make here because a few people were mentioning in the comments the previous video where I was talking about rowing out, something that you might be able to see happening on the fabric here. They say that the plant-based fiber is responsible for making that much more evident or noticeable. Well, this is not plant-based fiber. This is 100% non-treated, non-superwash merino wool. Rowing out can show itself. It doesn't matter what fiber you're using. Plant-based fiber might be a little bit more obvious, but I think it has more to do with maybe the color as well. If it's a lighter color, you're going to tend to see it more, the way it reflects light, things like that. Plant-based fiber does tend to reflect more light, but this particular merino also reflects a fair deal of light, which is why the rowing out situation kind of seemed a little bit more noticeable. Okay. Now I'm knitting this with wool, whereas the one that is shown on the sample is knit with a plant-based fiber. So it's got a little bit more of a drape, more of an airiness. This has a little bit less drape, even though I feel like it still even is pre-blocking quite drapey and nice. I really like it. I plan on wearing this not necessarily over anything, even though I could wear it over something like what I'm wearing now when it's colder outside, but I do plan on wearing it more like I don't know, like a more roomy vest type as opposed to just like a tank top. Okay, because I feel like when you see it in the image, it definitely gives off tank top vibes, whereas I'm planning on wearing this more like a roomy type vest, sleeveless top, if you will. Let's go ahead and try it on and I will show you what it looks like so far. I mean, we're gonna get like a real rough idea. Okay, it is right now, the front and the back are identical, so it's kind of, you have to really find out what your back is. All right, I'm gonna flip this on really quick. All right, pardon the hair. It's not too bad, actually. All right, so here it is, thus far. Let's make sure my needles don't come flying out. All right. I need to pin. I know some of you guys tell me that, like, hold your hair up so we can see. I will do my best right now. Let's see. Can I use, what is this? How lovely. I haven't even blocked it yet. It's a little, so people were complaining, not complaining is not the right word. Just like saying that the armhole depth can be an issue for some folks. It can kind of come up a little higher if you're not paying attention to that. But this, as you knit this, if you want your armhole to go deeper, this is a pretty easy fix. You just have to knit more rows this way before you start shaping, and then you have a deeper armhole. I just followed the pattern and it's working fine, especially if I didn't have a shirt on underneath, especially post blocking, it's gonna lengthen. I just know by looking at the yarn that it's gonna lengthen just a little bit. Not as much as a plant-based fiber would, but just a little bit, it is gonna grow lengthwise. I do think it's also gonna grow widthwise as well. This is kind of cute actually if it were like cropped and you wore it with a t-shirt under it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I like it. I'm liking it so far. I think it's going to look really nice both over and by itself, like over a top and then by itself. My concern when I first tried this on, and it was when I had less, so it was like more like here, is I was getting this like this effect happening up here. And it was because I just needed to unroll it and then it ironed itself out, I guess you could say. What do we think? Isn't it cute? It's going to be, I'm going to knit mine longer than what is called for in the pattern because I want it. Well, I don't know. I might play that by ear. What I might end up doing though, is once I get maybe about 2 more inches here, I might add in some short rows to bring the back down a little bit. Drop it down just ever so slightly in the back as opposed to the front. So you don't get that weird, like what you see happening here, where it kind of sits away from the body in the back down at the bottom. You want that to come down just a little bit in the back. Yeah. Here we go. This is it. This is my SABAI top thus far. Oh, this neckline rolls. And that's because I'm knitting number 2. This is SABAI top numero dos. Yeah, number 2. And number 2 does not have any ribbing going on at the neckline. And that's intentional. Obviously, that's the design choice, but it's also intended to roll. I think that was the purpose, because anytime you leave a raw edge of stockinette stitch with no ribbing, it's going to roll in on itself. It's just what stockinette does. So that's what's supposed to happen here. And it's also supposed to happen down at the bottom as well. It's just the rolled edge look. And I like that. I think it's very pleasant, actually. I'm getting like, with the way that I'm wearing this and my hair back like this, I'm getting like Star Wars vibes. Maybe. I don't know. Katniss Everdeen, maybe? Like this whole, who knows? I don't know, but I really like this. Kind of like I just want to leave it on, but I'll take it off. But I do really love this. How nice. Okay, SABAI top. I'm going to take this off and then we're going to talk about the yarn. Okay. All right. It's amazing what you can like put your hair up with, you know, like just a little, what even is this? It's like one of those cuticle pusher. So there is that. Loving this. I have, I don't know what else to say about that. I really love it. The yarn. Let's talk a little bit more about the yarn. So I told you what this is. This is Knitting for Olive, just Knitting for Olive Merino, fingering weight yarn held double here to get gauge. I'm getting gauge here prior to blocking, so it's going to block out a little bigger. And that was okay. That was kind of what I was going for. I was hoping that my top was going to be a little bigger than the one shown in the image, just to give it a little bit more roominess. I didn't want it to fit too tightly with too much, I just wanted to be a little bit more roomy. Okay, but here we go. Here's the yarn, Knitting for Olive Merino. Just straight out of the gate, I really enjoy working with this. It feels nice in the hand. It definitely has a little bit of a rustic texture to it. It's not super soft, and that's the way untreated merino should feel. Untreated merino does not feel like superwash merino. When you touch superwash merino, sometimes you feel like it's silky or it's just super soft and almost like cloud-like, cotton candy even. And that's because of the superwashing process. Okay, you're gonna have the scales of the fiber have been, you know, removed, and then you also have a polymer coating, and so you're going to have that silky, heavier, drapey feeling with a superwash wool. I have a whole video about this. Definitely check it out if you're interested. However, this is untreated, and I really love the way it feels. I love the way untreated yarn feels. I love working with it. That's what I offer in my shop exclusively, and it just makes it feel like such a lovely woolly experience. In my personal opinion, everybody has their preferences. This is great because I feel like it's got that nice luxurious feel to it in terms of its like substance, but it's got a little bit of that toothiness that I love, but not too much. If you're sensitive, like this I feel can be, if you're very sensitive, this is borderline as it refers, like as it relates to next to skin wear, right? Like I feel like this is the furthest you would want to go towards rustic yarn before it gets too rustic, right? Like this, that's how this feels to me. And I'm imagining, I mean, I don't know, like I could even go more rustic than this and wear it next to my skin, but I'm not as sensitive as some. Okay. But I really love working with this. It's great. It is, some people complain about it being splitty. And I'm trying to find the end of this. I don't believe that I've had that problem. However, it is loosely plied. And I know that because it's very easy to just kind of unply it. I can just untwist this and then unply the strands. It reminds me a little bit of like an embroidery floss. So you can kind of see right there. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, it's pretty easy to untwist the plies, but that doesn't, in my opinion, that doesn't really bother me. What that tells me is that it's just not as tightly, spun, or excuse me, I shouldn't say plied. I just think that sometimes the milling process is less aggressive, and so you don't have as tight of a twist. And that could be intentional. It really could be the way that they want it. They don't want an aggressive, tight twist. They want it to be kind of open and airy. The ply is, less tight. It just kind of fits with the yarn. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, you can say a yarn is splitty because it's easy to ply, like to pull the plies apart. And that's fine. That might be true. But when you say splitty, it kind of makes it feel like the yarn is of a poorer quality. Sometimes you can tell a yarn isn't supposed to be splitty, like it starts to split, or you can pull the plies apart and it just seems wrong because of the type of yarn you're using. I don't know how to explain that. This doesn't feel like that. You kind of, I don't know, you just know that it's an airy, loftier yarn. It's got a little bit more of a bounce to it. The plies aren't really tightly twisted together, and I kind of like that about the yarn. I really do. So I like this yarn a lot. I also feel like it's at great price point. Unless you can find it in your local yarn shop, and you're gonna have to purchase it from their website or any other kind of maybe local online retailer. So for example, if you're in the United States, you could purchase this from Webs. I believe Webs is in the US. But otherwise you purchase it from their website and then it's shipped to you, okay, from overseas or depending on where you are, which, may or may not make it economical, both financially speaking and, I don't know, environmentally speaking, but there's that. I think it's great yarn. I really like working with it. I would recommend it if you would like to give it a try. I think it's worth giving a try, and I'm very happy with that project. Okay, I want to take a little side note to let you know that it is Sunday. If you're watching this, my project update videos, I film on Sunday. I film and upload them on Sunday. That's just kind of the way that I like to do that. It is Sunday, the day before Monday, and Monday is the first day of school for my boys. My oldest son starts 5th grade and my youngest starts 2nd grade. And it's just one of those days where everything just kind of feels like not like a kind of like a whirlwind. Like we're prepared, we've got everything in place and everything. But my oldest is going into 5th grade, and for whatever reason, that just feels like a really big deal for me. And so this last week has been kind of a lot going on. And I feel like this project, the SABAI top that I have here, has been a real nice like comfort knit, going back to this like routine and sending the kids back to school and trying to just stay grounded and focused. This and work and things like that. I've been reading a lot more too. If you want to hear me talk about books with my husband, check out Good Books Lately. It's our booktube channel here on YouTube. I'll link to it down below. But I've been knitting on this while I read. I have a book pillow that I prop my book up on so that I can put it on my lap and knit while I read. And I just feel like this top has been such a lovely one to sit down with and read and feel comfortable and just, I don't know, there's something very cozy about this project. I don't know why I'm feeling like I need to take a little side note to tell you this and about school starting tomorrow, but it just felt like, I don't know, this is just a really nice comfort knit considering we're going into school and my kids are getting older and it's all very emotional. All right, guys, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I am going to I'm gonna hunker down. I'm gonna do some more knitting. Before I do that, I got yarn to wash. I've got new yarn coming to the shop. For those of you that are following Fiber for the People, I am putting new yarn in the shop a few different times out of the week, and I'm really excited because this particular collection I'm working on right now, which is the Range and Valley collection, is going to be ending at the end of August, and I'm moving into my next collection for fall, which is going to be called Cabinet of Curiosities, and I cannot wait for the color inspiration that's going to come from that. Keep posted if you're interested. Sign up for the Fiber for the People newsletter. Between the like small mentions here on the channel and that newsletter, that's really the only way I'm getting the word out for my yarn. I'll occasionally post on Instagram, but I don't rely on that. So if you want to stay in the loop and be able to catch drops when they happen, definitely sign up for the Fiber for the People newsletter. There's some really gorgeous yarn coming. I have some really pretty ones right now, actually. This is not the collection. This is some remnants I have from previous drops. And I almost think that some of these have sold, but aren't they so pretty? Like, look at this. Look at this combination right here. I don't know. It's just what is this? This is green. For whatever reason, on my camera right now, this is not showing up as green. Like, it almost looks the same as this. No, this is green. This is interesting. I'm gonna pop, I always have to tweak the photos of this so that way you can see it. I'm gonna pop a photo up of this color that looks like what I'm looking at with my eyeballs, and you're gonna see how wacky it is. Like, I don't know why. Like, this one, accurate. Maybe it's a little bit more red. This one, accurate. This one, not. I don't know what that is. That's wild. Anyway, if you'd like to see the Fiber for the People restocks and all of that, sign up for the newsletter. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, guys, and listening to me ramble. I'm going to go get things going in this house, preparing for the first day of school tomorrow. And like I said, hopefully hunker down with some more knitting and reading and all of that good stuff. I will catch you guys in Wednesday's midweek ramble. Until then, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.